This is Library Nerds with Words, the podcast that gives you the word on all the cool, nerdy happenings at Peter White Public Library and the library universe beyond. From books and concerts to search engines and story times, the library nerds are in and ready to show you that being a nerd can be cool. Get ready, get set, get nerdy. Welcome back to Library Nerds with Words, the podcast that gives you the latest word on all the cool things happening at Peter White Public Library and the library universe beyond, straight from the mouths of the people who know it best, library nerds. I'm Marty, adult programming coordinator for Peter White Public Library, and joining me today in the Nerd Multiplex are everyone's two favorite movie nerd millennials, Amanda Pierce from the Teen Zone and Ben Sargent from Tech Services, and also joining us today, a special mystery guest, the #1 fan of Library Nerds with Words, especially the movie episodes, Megan Bowman, also known to podcast listeners as Muggles. Welcome to the podcast, Amanda, Ben, and Muggles.
Yeah. It's been a hot minute.
It has been. All right. Well, I'm always excited to be able to sit down and get nerdy about movies with you guys. And welcome, Muggles, to the Nerd Penthouse. This is our Nerd Penthouse.
Should we specify that she is my sister?
Yeah, we'll specify. Yes, Muggles is Ben's sister.
Twin sister.
So,
and if you're wondering who's older, we have to state this as a statement of fact.
All right, who's older?
Ben is by 4 minutes.
By 4 minutes.
A very life-defining 4 minutes.
Important 4 minutes.
Well, yes. So you can't really force him to do anything he doesn't want because he's your older brother.
That's right.
Sister.
But she can guilt trip him into it.
That is true.
You can try.
Well, now it has been a long time since we've gotten together for a movie episode. Believe it or not, it was way back in April. When we settled the Great Field of Dreams debate during that episode.
Definitively,
yes. Today we are turning our attention to something nearer and dearer to your Y2K millennial hearts. Yes, that is a clue as to what cinematic subject we're going to be focusing on today's episode. But before we start partying like it's 1999, to quote the artist formerly known as Prince, another clue, we have to play another round of Word on the Nerd, the game where I find out a little bit more about my guest nerds. Well, you all know how this goes. I'm going to ask you 3 library nerd questions, and you have to answer them for the listeners. So, Amanda, Ben, and Muggles, are you ready to play?
Word on the Nerd.
So this is going to be a little game of Would You Rather. I'm going to ask you 3 Would You Rather questions, and you have to truthfully answer them for the listeners. And all of the questions today have to do with things associated with the end of the millennium, 1999.
Mm-hmm. They're good questions. I saw them yesterday.
And, of course, I never look at them.
Okay.
And, Muggles, you have not seen them either.
All right. So here we go.
Did you look? Oh, okay. I did send her the script.
All right. So here's your first question. Would you rather work in the White House of Josiah Bartlet, the fictional president played by Martin Sheen in The West Wing, which debuted in the year 1999.
Yes, it did.
Or would you rather work for Tony Soprano, the mobster played by James Gandolfini on The Sopranos, which also debuted in 1999?
Well, first off, so I'm rewatching West Wing right now.
I love that series.
Because it's, making me feel better about things. Because,
it's such a good show.
It's such a quality Have you ever seen it, Mugs?
Yes.
So it's hands down working...
Josiah Bartlet.
Bartlet for America.
Yeah.
I would even work for Jimmy Smits, the guy who comes in and replaces
Matthew
Bartlet.
Santos.
Yes. Yeah.
But what job would you want in that Bartlet White House? That's the question.
That is a good question. I would probably work with communications because
would you be like Toby?
No. Toby is a little too grumpy for me, and I don't think
Would you be like Sam then?
Sam would be good. I could also work with Allison Janney, CJ. I could work with CJ.
Do you think you would be a press secretary?
I think I could do that.
Okay.
And I think I could speak, I could hold my tongue the way CJ does and say things the way they're supposed to be said, as opposed to when Bradley Whitford gets up and puts his foot in his mouth every single time he's in front of a microphone.
What about you, Amanda?
I don't know.
I feel like you
who
would
would
be.
you put me in?
You'd be CJ later seasons when she replaces Leo and becomes
Leo.
chief of staff. You'd be chief of staff.
That
CJ.
that seems more up my speed.
Yeah, I could see that.
What about me?
You would be.
She could be Lily Tomlin, the secretary.
The secretary, not the first one who got killed by a drunk
No.
driver. Mrs. Landingham. The
I
second
did
one,
love Lily Tomlin, though.
Lily Tomlin, Mrs. Fitter. She's the secretary. I mean, Muggles has a PhD, so I feel like she,
You
should.
could do Toby's job, I
Yeah.
think. You could do Toby's job.
So I would totally work for The Sopranos.
You're making Tony Soprano! Wow!
Never work
I mean,
for the government.
I probably would.
You'd rather work. You're gonna end up
But,
dead.
like, I just-
Have you
exactly.
seen that
I
show?
would, yes, I would not
Everybody
be bored.
dies in that show. So.
No one's
why I don't want-
pretending to be nice to anyone.
I mean, that could fit me too, though. then.
Well, I
Okay,
wasn't gonna say
we'll
nothing.
work in for Josiah Bartlett. You guys can go and
I
work
feel
for
like
Tony.
I would probably be like Josh.
I think you could be Josh, yeah.
That's a good question. Marty coming out swinging.
All right, that's
till
the
the next
first
one.
one.
The next
now,
one.
you know that the hot questions are going to get a little harder. All right, so here's your second question. And, of course, it's a Muppet question.
Yes.
I
So
knew
here we
it.
go.
You have to
Ben
have
did
a-
prompt me. Yep.
Would you rather watch a Muppet remake of the movie The Matrix, or, which was released in 1999, or watch a Muppet remake of the movie The Blair Witch Project, which was also released in 1999?
No. It's got to be The Matrix, and the only human in there is Keanu Reeves.
And everyone else is Muppet.
Yep.
Mr. Smith's a Muppet. Morpheus is a Muppet.
Everybody's
Wait,
a
who
Trinity's
is
a Muppet.
Morpheus, though, is the question.
Fozzie.
Fozzie.
Fozzie is
No.
Morpheus?
No, Morpheus.
How about Sam the Eagle?
Yes.
That'd be good.
I was gonna say, what about like Grover?
Grover could be good.
Gonzo.
No,
Gonzo would be Joe Pantoliano's character,
yeah.
Yes.
Cypher, who snitches on everyone.
Who would Beaker play?
Beaker
Agent Smith.
agency.
I love it.
That's somehow more terrifying.
Me. And somehow he gets caught on fire. And just-
I just did a hand gesture from the Matrix.
yes.
So.
But oh man. No,
But I feel like the Muppet version of Blair Witch would be hilarious, though.
I think it would too.
that would be a comedy.
Yeah.
I
would.
the shaky camera. I can't watch it because
I
I'll
would
get sick.
put Gonzo in that movie just because
Yeah.
I think it would be hysterical. Although he might really get into being lost in the woods and everything, and he might actually run up to the Blair
Yeah.
Witch and do stuff with her. But I think like Miss Piggy is the main one, or maybe Janice. I don't know.
Oh, Janice.
Janice would be pretty cool too.
I think you'd have to say Matrix. Blair Witch is like that type of movie. It's like barely a movie.
It is barely a movie. It's barely a. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Blair Witch, so
I appreciate it for what it did.
it made me physically ill.
Yeah.
Same.
I
And
cannot
I-
watch it.
Again, I made
That's
it
what
15 minutes
people
into the movie,
wanted.
and I was so sick.
I mean, that was the intention.
I went the opening weekend.
Oh God.
It was packed,
It had such buzz.
and it was so
I remember.
hot in that theater, and I was sitting there. And literally after 15 minutes, I thought I was having a low blood sugar reaction because I started getting nauseated and everything like that. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, it's
I
so
started looking
shaky.
down. Yeah, it was just bad.
I mean, the thing is, remember the buzz that movie had?
yeah.
And people were like, this is the scariest movie of all time.
And I
Don't even watch this.
I don't get that.
When I finally saw it, I was like, what, you really?
Even the ending of the movie where you see the thing sort of see it in the
Yeah.
corner, I'm like,
Oh, you do? I
What
never
the
made
hell
it to
is
the end
that?
of the movie.
No, I just couldn't with the shaking.
Yeah, it made me too sick.
so yeah, I spent the entire movie looking down at the floor like this because I just couldn't do it.
So I'm sure it was scary, but I just couldn't get past.
What did you just eat?
It's a safe cheese, guys.
It's a
The
safe
safe
cheese.
We're going to talk about the cheese tray in a second.
We don't have
Computer
to.
keyboard.
Yes, we do. It's an amazing.
All right,
cheese
so
tray.
I vote for the Matrix. It seems like everybody's voting for the Matrix. All
Yeah.
right. So here's your last question, and I think this is the best one.
Oh, boy.
It's real entertaining.
Would you rather bring back McPizzas, which were pizzas sold by McDonald's for a short while in the 1990s, Or
they were
would
short-lived.
you rather bring back, and I kid you not on this one, McLobsters, which were lobster roll sandwiches served on hot dog buns, sold by McDonald's for a short while in
That was
the
very.
90s.
I think that was a very East Coast thing.
It was a very East Coast thing,
I
but
was
it
gonna say, the
was
supply
sold.
chain is
Yeah, it was
confusing.
sold by McDonald's.
I'm gonna say McLobsters don't sound safe.
Right? Oh, I'm going with the
It
big
reminds
about
me of
that.
like
The cold chain did not exist.
the SNL sketch with Mulaney with the diner lobster, where it's like you ate the diner lobster, now you're gonna be sick. So you'd have to say McPizza.
McPizza. They actually had
I remember.
hot dogs, too.
I remember
for
the
a while.
McPizza. I don't remember the hot dogs.
They did have hot
Trying
dogs.
to remember if there was anything.
We were very much a Burger King kids meal family for a hot minute. Like, that was like our allowance every other week. My mom, if we did all the chores, she would take us to Burger King. But
See-
then once McDonald's started dropping those Beanie Babies,
Oh,
That was it. Well, and
Then
the
we
reason
became a
that they
McDonald's.
discontinued McPizzas is it took too long to make them. It took exactly 11 minutes to make them, and it was like...
that's quite a long time to wait
That's
if
a
you're in the
long time,
drive-thru.
fast
Yeah.
food and everything. So they got rid of them, and I don't think they will ever be back.
You know what they have right now? I actually got it on Tuesday. I was going home for lunch, stopped at McDonald's. Brand new, limited time only. It was a chicken Big Mac.
Was it okay?
That exists in other parts of the world.
Okay,
Pretty
so
sure it does.
and the chicken was different than their other chicken sandwiches. It was pretty good. I mean, it just had all the Big Mac flavors, but chicken patties instead.
I mean, that wouldn't be terrible.
No.
It wasn't
Be-
sketchy.
Just one protein for another protein.
Yeah.
So, however, if they'd put like blue cheese on it for Ben
Yes!
to get it.
Get out of here.
All right. So, what are we saying? McPizzas?
Yes.
Then? No, not McLobsters.
Just because the concept of McLobster, the entire thing is horrifying.
It doesn't sound safe.
I
No.
think, and they've officially retired the McRib now too.
Well, they keep on bringing it. They
was gonna
retired
say,
It's never
they
going to
didn't-
retire. They're doing it for marketing. They're
I don't
making,
think so. They didn't do it last year.
No,
I have
they
a- I
had
have
them
a-
last year.
They did have them.
Yeah.
Well, they did it with a pretty regular cadence, so I would imagine that.
No,
like,
they're doing this-
there's no scarcity anymore. People are expecting it every
No,
year.
so they invent this. They're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna chill for a couple of years, then bring them back.
okay.
It's what they've done the whole time.
Yeah.
We have a friend.
I've
who
never
like,
tried a
chick-
McRib, and I never will try a McRib.
They're okay. It's exactly what you think.
I'm
Meat
not
product.
a big fan of barbecue
meat.
sauce. So,
Oh, well, that's
McRib.
really what it is.
Yeah, it's just
It's merely a
It's just like-
conduit for barbecue sauce.
It's just a vehicle for barbecue.
Yeah.
right, and it just my
I like
family.
the bun, but
My family loves barbecue sauce. I'm like, only if it's a white barbecue sauce can I do it.
white barbecue
Yeah.
sauce.
Interesting.
Actually, that's the only time. It's a white barbecue sauce. My sister makes it, and it actually has a little bit of vinegar in it, and I can actually take that. Yeah,
Interesting.
That's the only time.
Mandy's over here taking notes because she's a psycho.
I am not a psycho.
All right, well, we're going with McPizzas here instead of McLobsters. I was hoping for McLobsters, but that was only on the East Coast for a very, very short
They were
time.
lobster rolls, basically.
They were lobster rolls on hot dog buns. I think basically what they did was they got rid of the McHot dog and thought, shoot, ooh,
Marty's gonna have to beat that.
oh,
Marty, it wasn't me.
Okay, I was
It
the
wasn't
first
me.
one. I was the first one. All right. But I think they just had all these hot dog buns left over and thought, what are we going to do with this? And then someone came up with a brilliant idea. Let's make lobster rolls out of them.
And they had all the reject
they use
lobster
real
that didn't make
lobster
it.
meat?
Yes. It was like basically the inside of a lobster roll and just...
Yeah, but it's a legit thing. You're just like no.
It sounds disgusting. And I've seen pictures of them and they look disgusting. So
I mean, yeah.
Look this
you
up.
look it up. Look it up. All right. Well, that is the end of this millennial edition of Word on the Nerd with Ben from Tech Services, Amanda from the Teen Zone, and Muggles, the biggest fan of library nerds with words. And now the time has come to talk movies. In particular, if you haven't guessed already, we are focusing our attention on films from the year 1999, which some critics say was one of the greatest years for movies ever. And we're talking from Bruce Willis's Ghost to interesting uses for apple pie.
Oh,
So
God.
why don't we get into the word? All All right, Amanda, Ben, and Muggles, it is time to Y2K it up. Let's talk about what we got on our charcuterie board today first.
So we have a very safe cheddar for Ben, the Prairie
it's
Breeze.
good.
It's even white.
Yep,
It has no discernible.
We have
It's good.
the ski
It's pretty
cheese,
sharp.
which is the caramel tasting cheese, and you eat it with an
haven't had
apple.
that.
We have a blue cheese.
I just want to say for the listeners at home that this blue cheese is not food.
It is delicious.
It is so good.
It tastes amazing with the pear.
Yep.
It totally looks not Ben appropriate. I support Ben in this.
Thank you, Marty.
But did you notice I haven't spun the board your way yet?
Yet.
Oh, it's coming.
We have a bacon Gouda. What was this one? The Tomorashi. It's a very light cheese, very creamy, with a blend of Japanese spices in it.
You would like that one.
No,
I think you would like
and
it.
don't look at me while you're explaining these cheeses.
I will say
is good.
I like that one, but I tasted it and I looked at Ben. I was like, no,
See, Marty
don't
knows.
go there.
And then we have a Marin French triple cream brie, which is delicious, which will be making a reappearance on our Halloween board because we have the
Wait,
petite
orange ones.
It's the petite blue or the petite boo that I got, and Charlie got
Is it green?
No, it's orange.
It's orange.
It's orange. It's very I've been looking for this cheese. I won't say a swear word. I've been looking for this cheese since I saw it on their Instagram. And Everyday Wines they couldn't get it, and I went in 3 times, and the third time he's like, "Oh, I just got in 6 today." I'm like, "Great, I'll buy 3." Haven't even tasted it, just bought 3 because I can't go wrong.
And Amanda is going to be making a charcuterie board for my book release party too. So.
I am making one for you.
I'm insisting on pretty much very safe cheeses.
Yes, it's going to be very safe cheeses.
Because
You're a
I don't
good
think
friend,
that
Ben.
I don't think that the people who show up there are going to be looking to be
Scared away.
tantalized by
Scary things.
gooey cheese.
There might be a brie.
A brie
Because
is
the brie
fine
is
with
delicious.
me. Yeah.
Brie is delicious.
So, but everything is delicious.
Yeah, and we have
There's not
pears
a-
and apples
There's
and
not a
little
pickle in sight, so that's good.
No, there's a big bowl of olives. Though.
There's a big bowl of olives.
and then there's
so.
some little chocolate pumpkins.
All right.
But, this is my lunch as well.
So we are talking 1999 movies, and I'm going to let Ben. Usually, he decides what order we're going to talk about these in. So
I decided.
We got to talk about how we're going to rate them too.
Okay, so Amanda's decided we're gonna rank them.
Yep.
okay,
Okay, so from 1 to 6 or 7, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Is
So
it-
that's different.
Which one is it? 6 or 7?
I think there's 6 movies, right? So we're gonna TRL it. We're gonna totally request live.
There's
rank
7.
these. Oh, 7
Okay.
movies.
Muggles missed one, but we can talk about it.
Okay.
when she can
Which one
listen.
didn't you get to?
Magnolia.
Oh, I didn't get to that one either.
Oh well, then.
Oh no, I did. I did get to that
Yeah,
one.
no,
That
you
was-
did. 'cause
saw
you
the
respected
ending
me.
with the frogs.
Yes, that's right. I did. I don't
and
remember.
you texted and said, "What the hell?"
But
is
I
with
was
these
also,
frogs?"
but I
She
was
didn't say
also,
that.
I did not say that. But I also was on pain meds because of after surgery. But yes, I did watch that one. That one was,
So I didn't miss one.
It's one of my favorites.
it's so weird.
It's got frogs.
So weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Okay, but let's do this. Let's start out. Let's just go in this order. We'll save Magnolia for last.
Okay.
So we picked 3 comedies, and kind of the idea was there were lots of comedies from '99. We wanted to pick 3 major ones, and just see are they still funny? Do they still hold up? And when we were in high school, one of the biggest, was American Pie. I had not seen it, so let's do this too. When we talk about a movie, talk about had we not seen it since back in the day, or is it a favorite that you watch all the time? I had not seen this since high school.
I'm pretty sure that's the last time I watched it too.
Same with and in high school, we watched it. It was I feel like it was always on.
It was just
somewhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I've always
Everyone's
described it
house.
as the 1990s version of Porky's. So
That,
really
that's a
is.
really good way to
Yeah.
describe it.
So let's start with American Pie
Okay.
and Marty. Why don't you start first?
Because we were clearly all in high school.
Yeah, that was more geared towards us.
Yeah.
Where you were already.
Well, I remember going to it. I thought it was really funny at the time. best part of this movie is Eugene Levy.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Oh, yeah,
hands
yes.
down.
He is absolutely the best part of the movie. But Eugene Levy is the best part of practically any movie that he's in.
Anything he's a part of. Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching it. I remember laughing really hard when I first saw the movie back in 1999.
You were not laughing this time, were you?
I was watching this, and most of my reaction, and I didn't let my
Abject
son,
horror.
who's 16 years old, I didn't let him watch it. Because I was like, no, I like apple pie too much. I'm not doing that.
Don't do this to him.
But I was watching it, and I wasn't laughing as much. I was going, oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like,
I was cringing
Cringing.
Wow.
so hard.
Yeah. It was I think it was a movie of its moment, and made big
100%.
stars out of a lot of the people that were in it.
At the time, they were. I mean, not so much now, but like at the time, they were. They were on
Jennifer
MTV.
Coolidge is having her moment
Oh yeah,
again.
but like
I don't know if Jennifer Coolidge was really launched into superstardom with that movie, though.
no, because she got. But like, I think like if you were watching like because all these people were on MTV all the time. And that's the same with like Cruel Intentions. We'll talk about later. But America, should we explain if you haven't seen it, just generally what it's about? So there's 4 friends:
They're all seniors.
Jim, Oz, Kevin, and Finch. They're seniors at East Great Falls High School, somewhere downstate. Takes place in Michigan.
It's set somewhere like near the Lansing area
yeah,
because they go to MSU for like the competition.
Yeah,
They talk
yeah.
about going to East Lansing.
I
yeah.
always thought of it like right around Midland or something like that.
It's probably Midland. It's
I
got
was-
Midland vibes. Or
I was saying thinking more towards Lake Michigan.
All right. Well,
yeah, I
and
was
they.
thinking Grand Rapids.
So they're all.
well, Stifler's mom does have the lake house.
I mean, there's plenty of lakes down there. But
and they're all virgins.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yep.
there's this one dork nerd who claims that he's lost his virginity.
Sherman, the
Sherman.
Shermanator.
Sherman,
Sherman.
yes. And so they make this pact that before prom,
Yeah,
by prom.
they're all going to lose their virginity.
yeah.
That is the premise
That's the entire
of this
thing.
entire movie.
And they all have their own way of going about it too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kevin in the
Kevin and Tara Reid, who
yeah.
I must shout out.
Ted
Tara
loves
Reid.
Tara Reid.
Loved her at the time, still love her. I hope she's doing well.
I mean, she's in a lot of Sharknado movies. and
She
stuff
was
like
in
that.
Sharknado. Yeah, she was probably the most
Wait,
famous
is
person.
that an argument like she's doing well? If you say, yeah, she was in Sharknado.
She's still getting paid.
Yeah, there you go. So that
I just want the best things for her.
So yeah, there's that couple, and then there's Oz who has a college girlfriend who's like, "Oh, you're so cute. I'm gonna go drop you off at your
Yeah.
high school party."
At the start of the movie, they're at a party. It's kind of like bookending, right?
Yeah.
There's party at the end, party at the beginning. They all strike out the party at the beginning of the movie, and he's like, "She's gonna do it." She's a college chick, and they're like in the car. Muggs is just
so
cringing,
It's so bad.
and he's
It is
just
so
like,
bad.
"What does he say?" I don't think I can
was
say
like-
it. No, I remember what he said, and I can't say it out
It
loud.
was
No,
just
we
really,
can't.
really bad.
There's
like
not a whole lot you can
No.
talk about explicitly
No.
with this movie.
We can't quote the movie.
no, nope.
And she's just like, because he says blank me beautiful,
Yeah.
remember?
God.
And she's just like, ugh. And she's like 19 or something, but she
Yeah.
seems so older. She's like, you gotta be sensitive and
wise.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So he goes and joins Glee Club or
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
become sensitive.
while
Where
still
Mina
playing
Savari,
lacrosse.
while still playing lacrosse,
Totally a down.
Jim is trying to get with
Nadia.
Nadia.
the Czechoslovakian.
You texted me while you were
exchange
watching
students.
this, and it was like,
That is the one that I saw where I was like, oh, wow.
Well, and then
Yeah,
and then
no.
he's like, I'm gonna help her with her homework, and then she goes up to the room and changes and like broadcasting it across the internet.
So
I'm like,
this is-
oh my
Yeah,
god!
Jim has a cam that's set up on his computer.
Which has the quality of a potato.
Right.
And but the
it's
thing
illegal.
is, they're like she's like, will you help me study? But I'm gonna be at practice, so can I change at your
Yeah.
house? And he tells his friends, and they're like, Jim, you have to secretly record her, you know. And at first he's like, no, and they're like, you have to. And it's like, this is crimes. This is criminal.
Yeah.
it's a criminal.
It still is criminal, by the way.
And they do it, and like I remember,
But he doesn't send it just to the friends.
No,
he sends
entire
it out to
high school.
everybody.
He makes the mistake. And you know what? I will
You can't reply
I will
all.
sympathize with Jim because I've done stupid stuff
Yeah.
like that before, where you
Like
you
this?
reply all. Yeah,
No, not like this.
no, not like this.
Let's clarify that. Yeah.
But you know, I've done that where I've like mass emailed people when I
Yes.
don't mean to.
You haven't secretly filmed Czechoslovakia.
No,
You changed
no,
you
no.
naked.
But then he literally runs down the street, and then they're all like, "Oh my God, Jim, this is your chance!" And so he runs back to the house to try to get with her, and everyone's watching, and you're like,
And
"Oh
yeah,
my
he
God!"
He so she starts to. She opens the drawer and finds out because gets naked. She finds
the adult magazine.
the adult magazines that Eugene Levy had bought for him, which is a funny scene.
Wow. Yeah.
And then she's like, strip for me, and he starts doing a dance, but then
But it's everyone's watching, and oh my God, it's so bad.
I feel like that's all we can say.
Well,
It's so bad.
I mean,
But then
that
she's
is-
shipped back because like the foreign exchange family finds out about it.
right,
they blame
and then
her.
she gets,
And they blame her.
Because of course they did.
Yeah.
because it was her fault.
I believe it was Jim's fault.
Yeah.
I believe so too.
So then their Jim strikes out, and then so now you've got
I love Finch's. So
Finch is my favorite, hands down. He is my favorite guy from this group because he does this so smart.
yeah.
He doesn't go out looking for the girl he's going to sleep with at prom.
No.
He literally hires Natasha Lyonne's character to spread all these lies and rumors about him.
It's pretty funny. Like, have you heard about? Is it true he's got a tattoo? Is it true that?
yeah, there's a lot of details about him that they spread.
But he's the smartest one because
Yes.
then everybody wants to be with him.
Yes. But Stifler, which we haven't mentioned Stifler yet.
yeah,
Stifler.
Stifler.
Stifler. I feel like the most iconic character from the movie is Stifler.
Well,
I really
yeah.
think the movie's got big Stifler energy.
It does.
It does.
For better or worse.
And when they're at Stifler's at the start of the movie, and that's where you first see just the picture of Stifler's mom, which was the first
Played
time
by Jennifer Coolidge.
who can get it, still get it. And she was 38.
I am the same
Stifler,
age.
we're older than Stifler's
I am
mom.
the same age as Stifler's mom for one more week.
Oh my God.
Can you believe that? But Stifler's mom is, got it going on. And, like, that was the first... that scene with John Cho and the other guy where they're just like, MILF. Hope we can say
Milf,
that. It's
milf.
just an
I think
acronym.
we
Yeah,
can.
I think you can say that.
But they're chanting it. It's
Just them chanting at the picture and, like, oh my God. That was the one I remembered. There were two things I really remembered from the movie. It was Nadia in Jim's room.
Yeah.
And Amanda texted me and she was watching it. Like, I forgot that and I was like, that was all I remembered.
teenage
Is that
boy, teenage
is that a
girl.
gender thing? I think
I
that's
think
a
it
gender
is.
thing, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so Stifler sabotages Finch, gives him laxatives at school, and Finch has an OCD thing where he can't use the toilet at school, but he like directs him into the girls' bathroom, and then everyone's there, and it ruins his chances. So basically, when the third act starts, everyone's down bad. Okay?
Yep.
Like, are they gonna get it? And like, because like
We haven't mentioned the whole thing about the apple pie yet.
Oh, do we
Do we
I
have to?
don't think we
That
want
is the
to.
most iconic moment.
It is the
I think,
title
in-
of the movie.
Yeah.
We're
It's
obligated.
American Pie.
Muggles, you want to talk about that?
No. No, I don't.
At the
Jim-
start of the movie,
Well, and
let's
Jim
just
comes
briefly.
home to a very warm apple pie.
Well, let's set that up. Previous.
After.
After.
Yeah.
No, previous, Jim had asked Oz, what does third base feel like? And he says it feels like warm apple pie. So later on, he comes home. Mom had baked the pie.
warm apple pie. Oh,
Eugene Levy comes in. He's face
Jim
down.
is having fun with apple pie.
Face down on the pie on the counter. And I think that my favorite line in the movie,
Yes.
where he says, we'll just tell your mother we ate it all.
And it's just this total.
as Muggles and I are sitting here, we have daughters.
She's
Yeah,
cringing
exactly.
so hard.
I
Yeah.
can't, like, I'm like the physical embodiment of a cringe right now. It's just oozing out of my pores.
But it is the most iconic moment in
It's
the movie
just-
that
oh.
everybody.
That
sort
was
of
on the
remembers.
trailer. Like,
Yes.
that was
That
in
was
the trailer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So basically, they're all down bad,
Yep.
but then, like, and
we haven't
Tom's
talked
coming
about
up.
band camp yet.
we haven't. Well,
No, we're
because
getting
of
there.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So prom's coming up, and Allison Hannigan's character, who we've met previous, is like Michelle, the nerdy band.
Very nerdy
Girl.
band girl.
Very
Like,
nerdy
very,
band.
like...
And she
Oh, yeah.
and,
One time
and Jim,
at band camp.
Yeah.
Jim asks her, "Would you like to go to prom?" And she's like, "Oh, you'd like to go with me and all this, and we'd have so much fun. Are you going to Steve Stifler's party after?" And he's like, "Sure," because he's given up. And then there's a big scene where, because Kevin kind of, by the time the third act rolls around, Kevin's the only one still really in it, because Finch is kind of out of the game after the toilet thing. Oz actually cares about Mina Savari's character,
So he's not, like, pushing it.
Yep.
right.
And has also joined choir.
And he's joined choir, which automatically makes more sense.
Doesn't
to
he
me.
give up lacrosse or something?
He
to do
leaves
that?
the lacrosse game.
Well,
Yes.
they're going to have a duet,
Yeah.
but then he tells her he can't do it because he's got the big game. But then, of course, he leaves
Leaves
in
the
the middle of
big
the big
game.
He's in
game.
love with her.
Yeah.
Total cliche.
See,
but,
Mina Savaro was my thing with that movie,
Yeah.
so...
well, she also, in the same year, did American Beauty.
I know, yeah.
Oh,
Let's not talk about American Beauty.
Which just briefly, I loved that movie, but now it's been tainted. That's just it.
It's sort of like American... It's like the movie that we're talking about right now. It's hard to watch, and it's incredibly hard to watch.
But I
American
think for
Beauty now.
worse, just because Kevin Spacey turned out to be a predator.
Yeah.
But anyway, so everyone's down bad, and then Kevin and Victoria, they're the only couple, and he won't say he loves her. He just can't say it.
he just wants to wait for the right moment.
Right, and Natasha, but he really wants to get laid.
Yep.
And Natasha Lyonne, who's like probably the best character,
She's the
other
best.
than Eugene Lea. Like,
And Finch.
Yep.
yeah, but not one of the four main people, It's like, just tell her and whatever, and then like, they have a moment where it's like, why are you pushing this so much? Because he's the only one who's kind of pushing it. So prom rolls around, and you're like, well, it's not really going to happen. But then, Kevin and Victoria, he tells her he loves her, and also there's the subplot of they're going to different colleges next year. Is it going to work? So that happens, and
They do it, and then they break up.
then she breaks up with them right after. She's like, it's not going to work, which is like kind of like, oh, Then Jim is at the party with Michelle, and she's just being so weird. Like, want to hear a gross story? Like, we played. Have you ever heard of Spin the Bottle? And he's like, oh, okay, it was Spin the Bottle. And then she says one time at band camp,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
and then he's like, huh? And then
She literally looks at him and goes, "Do you want to do it?"
yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my god."
She was a predator.
Yeah.
She groomed Jim.
Yeah, she turns
And
out
she
to
totally
be
took advantage of him.
Yeah.
into lots of freaky things, shall we say.
Oh my god. And just like at the end of the movie where he's like, I've been used. And then
She leaves him in the middle, just up and gone, bye.
Oz and Mina Savari's character, they just have a nice night. Cuddly and whatever.
Out on the
But
dock.
Finch
Here we go.
he's there this is Stifler's mom's lake house. She wanted a divorce. He's by himself. He's in the room with the pool
That
table.
says, "Keep out."
He's in there, and guess who shows up?
Yeah,
No,
there
she's
you go.
been in there the whole time.
Oh, right.
Because she's in there with her liquor. And
Yes, he comes in and she's like sitting there, right? With
Yes.
very
what's
that one movie?
Oh, it's like The Graduate.
The
Graduate, very graduate vibe. Just sitting there in the corner, she's like, "Are you lost?"
And he's like, no. And then and Finch always styled himself very sophisticated.
Yes, he did.
So they start,
or he just
flirty.
dressed in black.
And then, oh my god, I think another great line is where he's like, should we have scotch or whatever? And she's like, it's aged 18 years, my favorite, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Oh boy.
So then,
They end up having fun on the pool table.
and Stifler walks in,
He's like, "Mom!"
and Finch is just like, oh, hey,
And he
Stifler.
faints,
Stifler.
doesn't he?
Yeah, he faints, he collapses. So
the
basically,
mom.
they all learn a lesson, whatever, and then, yeah. So the first half of the movie, very cringe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second half still cringe, not
Still
as bad.
cringe. I enjoyed parts of the second half, but boy, would not. It's not even would not. You couldn't recommend it, really.
No, and
No.
here's the problem. Muggles and I you have a teenager. I am about to have a teenager.
I have a 16-year-old
You have a
boy.
16-year-old. We dang well know somehow this movie is going to pop up on their radar, and we're going to have to sit there and be like, "Oh, they watched this."
Yes. Well, I've watched a lot of millennial like movies with Maddie, my teenager, and this one because I told her I was doing the podcast and what movies we were doing, and she's like, "What's American Pie about?" And I'm like, "Well," and I told her like this 4 friends, and they decided they all needed to have sex before they finished high school, and she's like, "Ugh."
Good.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be my child.
She was like,
We can hope.
"Ew."
Madison, yes. Isabel, no.
Yeah.
She was just like, oh. And in so many of the movies I've watched with her, she's like, don't even get me started on like A Walk to Remember. She's like, that
I won't even
was
watch those
the
with my
worst movie ever. How did you like this? So she's kind of like that.
That movie is garbage.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, see, my kid doesn't
She's
do
right
those
about
stories
that
yet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's rate American Pie. We're going, 1 to...
I mean, we can. Where would
1
this
to
be?
7?
It could be 1 to 7, or we could do like, where would this be on the totally requested live? I think this would be like the least requested movie. I think it's a 10.
I don't
like
know
at
if
the
it's
bottom.
the least requested.
I don't know. I would put it at the bottom.
So provisionally, I'm going to say like near the bottom. Maybe
Yeah.
at the end we can firm it up after we talk
Okay.
about all the movies.
I
give
say it's
it-
at the
but
bottom.
I'm not requesting it.
No, I'm
I'm
not
gonna say
either.
that. I'm not.
No, I'm not going to request
I'm
it.
not
I
calling
would-
into Carson Daly.
If we're going
No.
1 to 10, I'm going to
Who
give it like
was
a
engaged
1
to
to a
Terry.
2 on this one.
Carson Daly
Yeah.
and Tara Reid.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's all connected.
Why do I know?
So, anyways, I think the natural one to go from American Pie is then to do Cruel Intentions.
Okay. So these two, Muggles and
Intentions.
Amanda.
Okay, so I loved this movie.
I still love this movie.
Okay.
This is a regular watch for you,
This
right?
is this one and 10 Things I Hate About You are regular watches.
Both
I-
in 1999.
Yes, they are.
Okay, 10 Things I Hate About You is a regular watch, and I've seen it with Maddie. Like,
We've
she
watched,
loves that movie.
my kids have watched that one too.
But I hadn't seen Cruel Intentions in probably
No, it's been decades.
15 years, if not
Oh, God.
since high school. And
It is
so,
a regular watch.
when I was stuck on the couch with COVID, I fired this one up and just started watching it. And I think it's, I was trying to put myself in the place of when I was watching this, and but also like not being able to separate that I'm a parent to a teenager, and it's like the whole time I'm just like,
I mean, yes, you have to I have to dissociate. Like, okay,
Yeah.
I have a almost teenager and I have a 9-year-old who I
but
know
also
is going to.
I was
put me
watching
through-
this. Yeah, I was watching this.
I was
and
just
enjoyed
watching
it.
this at 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this was like a totally normal and healthy storyline that I watched in a movie I was obsessed with.
Well, why don't you give the plot synopsis so that everybody...
Do you want me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do it. So it's it's an adaptation of Dangerous Liaisons,
Which is it's for a teen adaptation.
Yeah.
Very good.
yeah. Now they did make there's a really excellent actual version of Dangerous Liaisons in the late 80s with John Malkovich and like Michelle Pfeiffer and whatever.
good.
It's really good. This is the teen version. Basically, you got they're
Sebastian,
all really
Catherine.
rich teens in New York at like this
Upper
boarding
West Side,
school.
Manhattan, like New York.
Yeah, they're like in the Hamptons. This is the Hamptons crowd. You got Sebastian, played by Ryan Phillippe, and you got Catherine, played by dark-haired Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Again,
Blew
just-
people's
which
minds.
blew you
both
knew
of them.
something was
All
up.
she did was dye her hair, and you would have thought she was a totally different woman.
That's how you know she's evil. Mums.
Yep.
doesn't matter that she's evil.
And
She's
this
hot
is the
in
movie
this
where
movie.
She is so
Reese
hot.
Witherspoon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Reese.
Reese and Ryan
Reese and Ryan
started dating in this one.
Yeah,
They
and
got
they-
married
and
and
they
now
got
have
married.
mini clones of themselves. It's
But this was
wild.
like a big deal for Sarah Michelle Gellar, right? That
Yeah.
role, because it
It was more serious.
It was more
yeah,
serious.
and way more controversial.
Yeah, so basically, Sarah Michelle Gellar and Ryan Phillippe, Catherine and Sebastian, they're step siblings, which means they're not technically related.
Really?
Which, what do you like? They're all hot for each other, and it's pretty creepy.
It's like the first. That's the first baseline level of cringe.
Yep.
So
You get introduced to that value.
that's right up front on
That's
Front Street.
right
You're
at
like,
the-
oh,
yeah.
and so and they are terrible people, and they're like manipulative and plotting, and the whole thing is like this
They're
is
rich kids with nothing better to do.
Sebastian
nothing better to
sleeps
do.
with everybody.
He sleeps with everyone.
He sleeps with Tara Reid.
Tara Reid,
Yes.
also in this big 99 for my girl Tara. And yeah, so the gist of it is there's Selma Blair's character. She's Cecile, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
Cecile.
And Cecile is going. This is like before the school year, and like she's coming to their school, and at the beginning of the movie, her mom, Christine Baranski, I forgot in this,
Christine.
Oh,
great and
so
everything,
good. So good.
is like, "Hi, my daughter Cecile. Will you look after her?
Because Catherine's got this great reputation.
She's got a great
She's
reputation.
like president of the student council.
Yeah.
All this." And Catherine is like, "Yeah, I'll take care of her."
Why?
But why? Yeah.
Because...
But hold on, let me set up. So Sebastian reads an article in 17 magazine from Annette Hargrove. Mm-hmm. Annette is Reese Witherspoon's character. Mm-hmm. And Annette penned a whole long form about how she's waiting until she's married.
Yep.
But this is very 2000s 17 magazine.
Yeah,
because virginity was huge.
Very purity culture.
Yes, very much so.
Yep.
So this fit the movie at the time.
Yeah. So, and Sebastian, being who he is like, absolutely not.
I'm going to bust this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is, this will be my greatest conquest. Just a real creep, right? So him and his stepsister make a bet. She bets him that he can't do it. And if she wins, he gets his Jag, right? His car.
She gets his car.
The Jag in the journal.
And if he does it, then he
gets to have his way with his stepsister.
Yeah.
Yes. Which he always wants.
Not the worst part of this movie.
Now also the reason why Catherine also is she's trying to sabotage Cecile because apparently her old boyfriend
left
her and was with Cecile, right?
Okay.
And then also I'd forgotten Joshua Jackson was in this movie.
He's so good.
He's having a comeback moment right now, and I'm here for it.
But also that was really, I believe that was a fairly pivotal role just in theater at that time, that he was an out gay character.
I forgot he was in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, I'm not sure about the performance.
He
it
didn't
seemed a
die.
little stereotypy.
It was supposed to be because at that time there was not a ton of gay representation in movies.
No, I know.
Especially in teen movies.
It was a big deal that he even existed, and one didn't die, and two wasn't sorry for being gay.
Yeah. So basically, Catherine's trying to sabotage Cecile. Sebastian's trying to get with Annette, but he develops feelings for her, so they do it, but then
he feels so guilty.
He confesses that it was a bet, and then she doesn't, whatever, and then he tries to collect from Catherine, but Catherine's she was playing him the whole time.
She was an upper she was the master.
She's like the man. She's the Glenn Close.
This was
This
was 4D chess.
Yeah.
And she's like, actually, what I was trying to do was destroy you, and then all this, and then she sabotages. Okay, so Cecile is, she's got the hots for Ronald, her cello instructor.
Which is, what's his name?
John Patrick Thomas.
Yeah, from
Save the Last Dance.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, sexy dancing.
Julia Stiles.
So basically, they sabotage that, and then Ronald, who's the cello instructor,
has been fired.
He's been fired, but he gets back at Sebastian. He they fight in traffic, and he gets run over. So Sebastian's dead, but his journal, this whole time, he's keeping a very detailed journal about everything. One other thing, Sarah Michelle Gellar's got the cocaine cross.
Yep.
Which is at the start of the movie you see.
Side plot. Major crackhead.
I remember when I saw this back in the day, I remember being like, well, wow. That's,
Is that how people do drugs?
Yeah. Well, remember Christine Baranski's like, what's your secret ever? And she pulls out the cross and she's like, I have my faith or whatever. And it's like,
I just turned to God.
Yeah. It's like this cocaine.
Oh, God.
So, basically, Reese Witherspoon gets his journal, and then when they have the funeral for Sebastian, Catherine does this eulogy, and she thinks she's gonna
get away with it.
Get away with it again. She's
and everybody's gonna feel sorry for her.
And then people start walking out of the church,
Yep.
and then she's like, "No, come back! You can't leave when I'm talking." She goes outside. Now everyone's got a copy. Someone Blair's handing out copies of his journals. It's called Cruel Intentions, and. Then the most iconic scene in the movie, the one thing I remembered from back then was...
The escalator?
No.
That's what I remember,
No, when
the escalator scene.
Yes!
That is the one that teenage girls remember.
But I was going to say, I think...
We all wanted Ryan at the top of that escalator.
Okay, guys. But can I finish? Jesus. What I'm saying is, I think the most iconic scene is when Bittersweet Symphony starts playing, and
that's a big deal. Yeah.
and she gets jammed, and like the headmaster rips the cross off. There's coke in it. Everyone's giving her the evil eye, and then it cuts to Reese Witherspoon driving in his car, and she's got the journal, and she's reminiscing. So what did we think? I'll go to Marty first.
I think this movie holds up a little better than American Pie, for sure. I think it could be because it's based on a classic novel and everything like that, and everybody's aware of it. It's not as cringy as American Pie.
No,
absolutely not. I mean, there are a few moments where you're like, but. I mean, honestly, I think this movie holds up a little better than
it definitely
American
does.
Pie, for sure.
It is for sure sexy teen time. This is sexy teens doing sexy teen things. Like everyone is sexy.
The directors and the casting agents of that movie, they knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
they were
100%. Like to this day, and I'm like. And granted, Ryan and Reese and Sarah, they have all aged amazingly well. But, like, still to the
have they aged? I look at them and go,
how
old are you?
I don't know, because then you look at Reese and Ryan's kids, you're just like, they're miniature clones.
Yeah,
wild. But, like, my little teenage heart still goes,
Yeah, it's strange that the two teen comedies, like 10 Things I Hate About You and this one, but 10 Things I Hate About You based on a Shakespeare play.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's like Dangerous Liaisons, and I think it's Taming of the Shrew or something like that. So it's pretty amazing that both of them are based on classic works of literature.
American Pie, not based on classic literature.
No.
Nope.
No.
Never seen a trend here.
Haven't you read that Flaubert novel?
Yep.
I mean, I this one holds a special place in my heart.
Well, you would totally recall this one.
Yeah.
But no, like I remember
West
sitting
this
at was my friend Emily's house, because it was either Emily's house or Susan's house. Oh, it was Susan's house. And we'd watch a movie, wait for her parents to go to bed, because her dad was a science teacher and her mom was an English teacher and librarian. So we definitely waited for them to go to bed. But like we watched this movie and we're all like, so yeah, okay, good night, everybody. We're like, let's watch that again. And then that one, and then 10 Things I Hate About You, when we would all like get together for the night and eat our pints of ice cream. Those ones would play back to back. So like it puts me like right back in high school and like really good feelings. And
so what are you giving it?
This one's like
It's top 3 for sure.
top 3 for me.
Top 3?
I'd say top 2 for me.
Yeah, I'd say top. I mean, it's right up there with 10 Things I Hate About You, because I watched both of them.
Which we've done on the podcast already, or else we would have done it on this one.
So like, but like,
I would give this one a 5 or 6. So.
Where 1 is being the best?
Yeah.
No. Oh, I thought 10 was... Oh,
no,
10.
Because it's
okay, then I'm
going to
redo my American Pie, because I put that... So I'm going to put American Pie...
No, because it was the #1 requested video of the week, or the day.
Yeah.
American Pie is like 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the least requested.
It's 9.
That's fair.
So like this is like, so like the one
But
is like...
I would put Cruel Intentions right in the middle for me. Like,
Okay.
Like 5, 6...
I forgot how spicy...
That's
Yes.
It's been so long since I'd seen it.
Oh yeah. No,
that I think I was just taken aback
Yeah.
at just how blatant the
Yeah.
storyline was.
Especially
I don't remember. And
The opening scene with
the therapist.
the therapist. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say the second scene, the first scene with Catherine and Sebastian.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
like the fingers down the chest, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I was like, because I almost watched this with Maddie.
yeah, and
No, I do not want
I'd
this one.
forgotten all that, and they were all like, and I was like, damn,
I mean, it hit all the buttons for teenage girls and boys.
and boys. I mean, because
Of all orientations.
yes,
Yeah.
everyone was sexy.
It was, yeah.
It was so sexy.
But I wonder if that movie came out with that targeted audience now.
I don't think it would
I don't think it would get
No.
nearly as much traction, which
Yeah.
makes me wonder, like, what was so different that, like, we were like, oh, this is like a normal movie I watched during a sleepover, and now it's like, I don't even know if
The Me Too movement.
That is
That is true, yep.
100% the Me Too movement canceled so many of the 90s movies that we loved and grew up with.
Well, it's just because we know that, like, you shouldn't be treating people like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because,
Which we
like,
did
Sebastian's
then,
a
but-
predator.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just not going to highlight them in film.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just it sort of amazes me Now, I have to ask you, because, again, this was past my high school time, just a little bit past it. But, I mean, everybody's so beautiful in this movie. Did they make you feel terrible about yourselves and what you look like and everything?
To be honest with you, when we were in high school in 99, 2000, 2001, unless you were a size 0, you were not beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you
the marketing and the language,
I was a size 4 in high school and I was fat.
I was definitely not a size 4 in high school and definitely felt like an elephant all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so, everything was low rise. You couldn't have any type of
low
fat.
rise.
It was so bad. I'm like, I would give anything to go back to being high school fat. And that's like, I wasn't even that big. I wasn't. I was average. I was fine. But that movie didn't mess with you because that's what we saw in all of our marketing.
Standard to what the message was.
I'm just wondering about
Which I'm so glad it has changed now because,
Because I grew up with Risky Business, so, you know, Rebecca De Mornay, come on.
We grew up with the Britneys and the Aguileras, and there was no body fat.
But you know now, like, how messed up that was and how...
it was terrible.
How the world, society treated them, and, like, it's so bad, so...
No, 100%.
But the movie is pretty good. I would definitely recommend.
Yep.
It's not something that you watch with smaller children.
No, I'm like
teenage children.
I'm like one
They
of
can
my
watch it. I'm just not going to sit there with it.
You don't watch it with them.
well, so side note, I was watching Lisa Frankenstein, and my daughter came home, and so far it was fine. My oldest came home, Madison, and she was fine. It was fine. And then there's a scene we will talk about, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you
in the
told me.
closet, and she pulls out a certain thing. And in my mind, I just said what it was and explained what it was, and then I looked at my daughter. I'm like, "If you have questions, do not Google it. Ask your mother or
Don't
ask
Google.
Susan."
I love that.
Do not Google.
Yeah. Just don't
And she
Google.
just like, what? And I'm like, then I'm like, okay, it's done. We're just gonna turn this off now because I can't. I cannot explain what this is anymore. And so I'm like, we'll finish it later. And so like at this point in time, I'm like, what else is gonna go wrong in this movie? And so I finished it in bed one night, like after she went to bed, so she didn't ask questions. And there's a whole nother scene further into the movie. And I was just like, I woke up David and I'm like, we can't let her watch this movie. Because I don't want to explain this. This is where I feel with all these movies. I'm like, I don't want to explain this yet.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to have that conversation.
Okay, so let's keep it going.
Okay, let's go on.
The next one is we're going to do another comedy. But this one I think we'll all agree on. Office Space.
Best movie ever.
Oh yeah, that's like for me. Like,
Still holds up.
It's such so high up on the movies that I love.
Yeah,
I mean,
Red Stapler.
I've literally said something. Someone recently being like, "Yeah, we could come in on Saturday. That would be great."
I used to use those lines on my daughter. It's she would come up and say, "Can I do that?" And I'd go, Yeah. And she never got it.
Lumberg.
And
just the TPS reports.
TPS.
Do you have the TPS reports? Do you have the TPS from this person to that person to this person?
Everyone can relate
Pass the
to
cake.
that.
Pass the cake.
Milne just
Someone got a case of the Monday.
Oh. You don't have enough flair on you.
As you can
I
tell,
wanna
this
do the bare
movie,
minimum.
Like, bombed when it first came
I
out.
know it was not.
But it had so many big names in it too.
It had huge names in it, and it just bombed, and then it just kept on gaining status, and people started making like memes about it and everything. It just took off.
Yeah, it really did well in DVD. And,
Yeah, we own this on DVD.
I have it too.
I own like the deluxe like version with like the.
Did it come with a stapler?
Yeah, I wish it did. I wanted a red stapler forever.
So like, the whole thing is it follows Peter. He works at like a software company and. Intertech, yeah.
Which is so corporate IT.
It's all generic. Everything's generic on purpose.
It's very generic, yeah.
But, he's burnt out. He hates his job. And it turns out, like, the company's bringing in a couple of, like, consultants. It's basically to figure out who to fire to lay off. The Bobs. And Peter's just...
the Bobs.
The Peter... John C.
doesn't
McGillney is so good. And he's got his two friends. He's got...
Michael Bolton.
Well, Michael Bolton and Salim.
Yeah.
Yeah, Naina Najah. But Michael Bolton, and just like, people are just like, you must love him. And he's like, it's not my fault.
Yeah. Well, I celebrate his entire catalog.
Yeah. But so Peter's just like, he's just,
He does the minimum.
He's given up, and basically he's waiting to be fired.
I think we call that quiet quitting now, right?
Yeah. He was quiet quitting.
Yep.
But the Bobs, for some inexplicable reason, are like, this guy's going places. And just like, all the conversation, the best part of the movie to me is just like when it's Peter and the Bobs, because they're just like, you've been missing a lot of work lately, Peter. Well, I haven't been missing it.
Well, and the reason that he's doing this is because his girlfriend
Jennifer
Aniston. Well, he went to it's the other one, the first girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
takes him to a hypnotherapist.
Yeah,
right. And the hypnotherapist says, "You're going to lose all your worries and everything. You're not going to worry about anything until I snap my fingers." And then the guy dies.
So he never snapped his fingers.
So he never snaps his fingers. So he's totally hypnotized and just doesn't give a crap about anything that he says or does or anything that's in his life.
Nope,
right?
he's just done.
Yeah.
So they basically cook up a plan, Peter and Michael,
to skim money from like the interest.
to embezzle, but just like small fractions of a cent.
Yeah.
But they screw it up, and they start. They obviously steal a ton, and then
$300,000
within like 24 hours by mistake.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It's so iconic. We can't sit here and say every line. I love.
The best part of the movie is when they take the printer out.
Yep.
And they beat the crap out of it.
We can say that word?
Yeah, you can say crap.
I can say crap.
Yeah, but that's not what they do. Far worse.
They do
Yeah,
far
well, they
worse.
do far worse.
We can't
all
say
that.
what they do.
But because we have a printer here at the library.
Oh,
God,
not
that
a
we would
printer,
all
but a
love to
copier.
take.
That
We were talking about
that
that this morning with Andrea. Me and Muggles were.
Go off his space on it.
Yeah, but then like subplot like Milton. So Stephen Root plays Milton. Stephen Root's
So
great
good.
and everything.
So good.
But
So good.
it turns out that he actually got fired a long time ago. But
5 years.
some glitch he kept getting paid. So they're just like, so we fixed the glitch.
Yeah.
And then he gets real.
Well, they
real
put him in the
angry.
basement, right?
Yeah, they keep on moving his desk.
Yeah, they just
desk.
it's like the most passive aggressive way to like.
And then they take. Then he takes the red staple. And he's like,
It's my
staple.
they said I can have it.
He ends up like they think they're going to prison, not white collar resort prison, federal pound me in the you know what prison.
I almost said it.
And but Milton, as revenge, he sets fire to the place, and it burned all the evidence. So they're all.
But he took the check.
He took the money. So at the end, he's on the island, and he's talking
Still
about
not getting
the
living
Mai
it-
Tais.
Living
He
his
doesn't want.
best.
He's like, I had the worm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
So good. Holds up.
yep. I think
Would
it was-
highly request.
This is like at least 2, maybe even 1 on my list.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
it's like
this
2,
movie.
3.
I'm
It's
trying to
probably
think of like my
3.
favorite lines. There's so many. I just remember when his Peter's like neighbor, right, that comes over.
Oh, yeah.
Who does like drywall.
Was on the Drew Carey show.
Yeah, he's on the Drew Carey store. His real name's Dietrich.
Yeah, Dietrich Oswald. Oh.
Dietrich's Bader or
Something.
something.
Bader,
Yeah.
yeah.
But anyways, where he's just like, would anyone ever say at your work, you have a case of the Mondays? No. Hell no. I believe you'd get your ass kicked saying something like that.
And then he's at the end of the movie, like tearing down the building that burned down.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's having
Full circle moment.
Yeah, he's happier in his work-life balance or whatever. But I love the line when they're talking to Salim and where they're like, "We're gonna go to prison, Peter," and he's just like, "This isn't Riyadh." Like, I'm like, "Oh my god."
Oh my god.
Like, and then when they go to what's the guy's name who gets injured?
Oh,
The party.
Oh, the board game.
Yeah, but the jump to conclusions, Matt.
Yeah.
But he's what was his name in the movie?
I can't remember.
Bill. It was Bill
Bill.
something, right?
Yeah.
But he was like he wasn't doing anything at work, and the Bobs are like, well, what do you exactly
What is it that you do here?
And he's well, I take the reports, and then I give them to these people. And they're like, so you just take them from here and give them to there. Couldn't they just give them? And he's like, no! Like, so he ends up...
Getting in a really bad car accident.
That's after he tried to commit suicide in the garage, but his wife came home. But then he backed into the street.
Oh, my gosh.
But then he got, like... settlement.
Huge settlement.
And they're like, he's doing great. So he's in like full brace. He can barely walk, but he had his dream to come up with the jump to conclusions, Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
He's got a prototype because they go to have a party for him.
Yeah.
And that's where they talk to this judge or whatever. And they're like, no, there's no federal white collar prison. That's serious. And they're like, oh my God. But just an all timer.
Yeah, it's just a great movie. It holds up. You know, out of all the movies that we've talked about so far, I think this one holds up the best.
I think it's my number one, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's just, that'll always, because people will always be able to relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
work in corporate America,
Yeah.
and I've said to someone, like, what is
Oh,
it
we should
that
say
you do
it was
here?
Mike Judge directed it. He obviously
Yeah.
did Beavis and Butthead. And
He was in it too, though, right?
He was the boss at the whatever the restaurant was.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
The
forgot.
one that
With
kept
Jennifer
saying...
Aniston.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
more
he kept
flair.
saying like
More flair.
you
He
just
has
don't wanna-
37 pieces of flair, and you only have 31 pieces of flair.
Yeah,
You
like,
wanted the bare minimum.
You're bare minimum.
Yep.
I remembered like there was someone like that we went to school with whose AIM screen name was Pieces of Flair.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I can't remember who it was now, but I remember they pop up and
Don't you wish you could just log back into your AIM?
Yes, I would.
Oh my God.
I would give anything for AIM to come back. That is the only reason I have
I would
Facebook
log in,
Messenger.
I'd put an away message with some lyrics.
With like varying heights of text.
Yeah.
And
You,
maybe
can,
some,
you
like,
know we
yeah.
can do this on Teams, right? You can put little away messages
Oh,
at
yeah.
the top corner of Teams. I have done it multiple times. No one has caught it
I'm
yet.
just gonna put vague lyrics.
Yes.
So people wonder if I'm okay.
I did the Hillary Duff ones once.
What?
No one saw it because like no one checks the away messages. But like the rain fell down with like the different letter sizes.
Oh my
Because
God.
I could.
I should try that next
I'm
week.
glad we talked about AIM because AIM is
Well,
right
it
in the
was
thick of all of this.
Fundamental to the like the social fabric
Yeah.
between
Yes.
like 98 to 2007.
Yeah.
No,
Because
but
we
like
had AIM through college.
we
No,
did, but
AIM didn't die until like 2010.
no, but when really it was high school because like once you got to college, like once you had Facebook, things changed.
But
Yeah,
they didn't have Facebook They didn't have instant messaging.
No, they didn't. It
No,
was
I
AIM.
know there was AIM in college,
And
yeah.
I know AIM was still around in 2007 because my now husband sent me an AIM message.
Ooh,
And I didn't respond for over an hour because he asked me out on our first date over AIM.
yeah.
And I just left it on red.
Left on
for
red.
an hour because my mother called me to complain about my sister being pregnant.
Oh,
and so I
Lord.
couldn't really turn away. And so there's my husband. He's like, you left me on red.
Yeah.
And I said yes.
That's how my now ex-husband messaged me. AIM.
I'm just gonna. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm happy and sorry. What I was saying
No,
was
you're
like
not. Not really.
I mostly associate AIM with like this time period.
Yes.
Though.
Oh, no, very
Like
much so.
high school, you know, you hear the door open, and you had to click and see
When
who it
you
is.
only have the door, I would set like certain cues for certain people.
You could change it in the
Yeah,
settings.
if I had like if people I liked, I would like.
Yeah, but then the door would close. You'd be like, "Who left?"
Plus, Facebook wouldn't have gotten here until later.
Facebook was 2005.
Yeah,
Five or
but
six.
here, so it was 2 months after you got it at State because you got it first. I remember you came home for Thanksgiving break and you said we have Facebook.
I remember getting it.
And then I remember-
spring of 2005 at Ferris.
Yeah, so this would have been 2004.
Fall
And-
of 2004.
Yeah, and we
Was
got
it
it.
the college Facebook?
Yeah, the
or-
college Facebook,
college.
the
That
first
was
one.
The first one. I remember getting college Facebook first, but then you had the Facebook. Because
Yeah.
they were two different things.
Yeah, but the college one, the one that first went to colleges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you got it because State was a big school.
State was one of the first ones that they launched after
Yeah.
Harvard.
Yeah. A couple months later, we got it. Because I remember you came home for Thanksgiving and you were like, look, we can stalk people we went to high school with. It was really the gist.
But it was only if they went to your school.
Yeah, there were a few other people.
Yeah.
And then a couple months, because I remember you came back to visit, I don't know, even it might have been even for Christmas, and we had it by then at MU, so. Which is not about this. This is
No.
about the 90s and AIM and Office Space and Pieces of Flair as a screen name.
Great movie.
Great
Best.
movie.
It's a great movie.
I think we should next do just our last comedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just laughs.
Okay, all right.
I haven't watched this one in forever though. That's like I haven't watched.
I've watched this one multiple
Should
times.
we introduce it?
Why don't you introduce it?
So the next movie is South Park.
What's the whole title?
Longer and
Bigger, longer,
and uncut.
I forgot how absolutely terrible this movie was.
So I was texting Ben during this because I was like just laying on the couch and was fired up at like 7 a.m.
Perfect time to watch.
Yeah, it's just me. I don't actually ever in my entire life remember sitting down and actively watching this film. Ever.
But
I know every single song.
'Cause you have
every
seen it.
single word. Because I listen to the music.
yeah. But I had it on. You've seen
But
it.
it just like came out of my head.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like
Yeah.
there have been brain cells storing that.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
20
important.
plus years.
It was a huge cultural phenomenon.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
like, I remember my mom, you cannot watch this South Park stuff. And
Were
I'm
we
like,
allowed to watch it?
Yeah, so I was.
He is older than you. I mean, so come on.
Sorry.
But I don't know. Yeah, I was allowed to watch it.
My mom hated anything like South Park, Beavis and Butthead, Simpsons.
but
Our parents maintained a very strong, like, if you watch this, don't blame us if you act out afterwards.
yeah, because like they didn't
Not my
like
mom.
because at the same time I was like listening to like rap.
Yeah, you were like DMX and stuff, so like,
Yeah, it was like DMX, and they didn't care as long as they're like, but if we see it affects your behavior, we're gonna like
Yeah,
throw everything
yeah,
out.
exactly.
And I knew they would, so like we were fine. So like, as far as like language and stuff, they were,
pretty chill.
they were chill.
And the
But-
MPAA board wanted to give this an NC-17
NC-17,
rating.
yeah.
Yep,
So
because
let's give it a synopsis real quick.
Yep.
okay,
It's
oh
hard
boy,
to
Well,
it's hard.
I think
summarize.
it's about the four
Yeah,
boys.
I mean, I can do it quick if you want.
All right,
'cause,
go ahead.
I mean, I watched a lot of South Park, especially because Muggles. You remember when we got Comedy Central? We were in 7th grade.
Sure.
And South Park was like the main thing on there, and everyone watched it. It was like, and it was so controversial because like it was, Cartman gets the anal probe in the pilot episode, and that's where you're starting with, right?
Yeah.
Are we
And he-
allowed to say anal?
yes.
Yes, you are.
That's a medical term.
That is.
Sorry.
We're being very technical here.
Yeah, we are. Okay.
Yeah.
We got the chops to say it.
Okay.
Just can't say half the other songs. Can't say half the song titles.
Yeah,
No.
So you got the 4. You got Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny.
Kenny.
They're in 4th grade at South Park in Colorado, right? Oh, and this is a musical, by the way, which is hilarious. And basically, their favorite comedy thing is Terrence and Phillip. And Terrence and Phillip had been in the show, but they're Canadians.
They're
and,
Canadian.
And in South Park, Canadians talk weird, and their heads aren't two pieces.
They're like, yes, they're very this is a Canadian.
They don't so much
like-
have a jaw as they do a hinge, where
Yeah.
the two aspects
It's
of
just,
their heads open and close.
I'm Canadian. Ah.
And they also don't actually have eyes; they just have beads.
Beads, beady Canadian eyes. So they're going to
the new Terrence and Phillips movie.
new Terrence and Phillip movie, Asses of Fire.
Ass is a fire. Yes.
And Terrence and Phillip, they just fart at each other and swear, and it's really dumb.
It's garbage humor.
It's not even funny, but like
No.
but in the context, they're in 4th grade. They're like right,
Best thing ever.
but they're swearing a lot and whatever. So they get out of Terrence and Phillip, and they are, and there's a big song in it, Uncle whatever.
Yep.
You cannot say a lot of these
song
things.
title.
The song title.
So basically, the whole, and this is right. They get out of the movie and they're swearing all the time.
And then all parents are
They're doing it in
livid.
school. They call their parents. Their parents are livid, especially Kyle's mom, Sheila Broflovsky.
Yep.
And
Who, mind you, has an adopted Canadian child.
yeah, Ike's their
is an adopted
brother
Canadian
is
child.
adopted Canadian.
Yes.
He's hiding in the attic like Anne Frank. Later on in the
movie
movie,
is so terrible.
so basically, they. It's so ridiculous.
Sheila gets all the moms and the parents in the
Yes.
town to go to war against
With
Canada
Yeah.
because they don't like Terrence and Phillips.
And they're going to execute Terrence
and
and
Phillips
Phillip
because they've like arrested them
for crimes against
but
children.
but then you have Satan and Saddam and
there's
hell.
that.
there's that
Hold on,
whole-
we have to.
Because someone dies.
Yeah.
Someone-
So
yeah.
Kenny dies in every South Park episode. You don't know, but this one you actually follow him and he goes to hell.
Yep.
And
Oh, but he went to help because he didn't go to church,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
Um,
Because he went to the movie instead.
yes, and he goes to hell, and Satan's down there,
Yep.
and Saddam's down there,
Yep.
which is funny because Saddam when this movie came out, Saddam
Was
was
still
still
alive.
alive.
I had to look that up because I'm like, that
he didn't die.
That
He didn't
feels
die till, like,
wrong
20
in the timeline.
Yeah, it was way in the 2000s.
Yeah.
This was 99.
Yeah.
And they are lovers.
Yep.
And the Saddam Hussein voice is so insane. He's just
And
like,
it's just- it's
I
like-
love you, Satan.
It's like a cardboard cutout of his head, and the
Yeah.
whole thing opens.
Yeah.
And he's
like
just
the
like,
Canadians.
don't you love me? You know, it's just crazy, right?
Oh my gosh.
And
But Satan is like a very emotionally available.
yeah, he's
and
just
aware
like, don't you care about me,
beast,
Saddam?
demon.
You know?
Yeah, I
Like-
just feel like you want me for
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't respect I feel like you don't respect
my
me.
feelings. Yeah, I don't feel connected to you.
But there's a prophecy: if the blood of Terrence and Phillip gets spilled on American soil, it'll basically open the seventh seal, and boom,
7 layers of hell.
yeah.
Satan's gonna come and rule the world, right?
Which, in like, Saddam is all about this because he's going to rule the world with Saddam.
Yeah,
with-
he's going
gonna
to-
rule the world.
So basically, they're gonna go to war with Canada, and actually, there's a little like Canada like strikes back because like they bomb the Baldwins,
The Baldwins.
and and then they bomb the Arquettes.
our main dynasty family.
So the whole thing is like they're gonna kill Terrence and Phillip, and then they're gonna launch this offensive and invade Canada.
and then there's like the Canadian like diplomats that are like, we
Oh,
don't,
I love
we don't
that.
get it. You got like, there's way worse things that happen in your country all the
Well,
time.
hold on. Let's save that for the end because I love when they're at the UN though, and they're like, "Well, what is it about?" And they're like, "It's about pride. It's about dignity."
Yeah, and they're like,
And they're like, "Tell us again what's about."
boot respect.
It's about respect.
It's such.
And so the whole thing is they have to. Kenny comes back
Yes.
and tells Cartman as a ghost what's going to happen, Saddam Hussein, whatever. So all the kids get that because all the kids have been grounded because they've all been swearing, and they have to break in, free Terrence and Phillip. They form, La Resistance. My favorite song in the movie. What would Brian Boitano do if he were here right now? He'd make a plan and you follow through. That's what Brian Boitano would do.
You texted me that.
Oh, I love
halfway
that
through me watching the movie.
Yeah, and just so they have this big USO show hosted by Big Gay Al, Sheila, Winona Ryder,
Ryder.
Yeah.
and they're gonna have the show,
And then
then they're gonna execute them.
Yep.
Electric chair, and the kids got to break in and free Terrence and Phillip. But
There's the one kid that's been like
The mole?
The mole who's seen things.
he's like he's like smoking a cigarette and he's just like hates God, and he's like French for some reason. He's like a French,
But also a fourth grader.
also a fourth
Yeah,
grader.
at their
I won't be
school.
grounded again.
Yes.
I'd rather die than be grounded again. And he
Civil War
sneaks him
vet.
in, but like it goes wrong, and Terrence and Phillip do get killed, and everything, all hell breaks loose. But then Kenny, he convinces Satan. Satan turns it all back.
Yeah.
The movie is great, and the reason why is the movie's just about censorship.
Yep.
That's all it's about. Like
Yep.
they say explicitly in the movie, the Canadians do. They're like, violence is okay and all this, but language isn't. Like, me and Marty had this convo a few mornings ago.
Yeah.
That's wholly what the movie is about. Like what people, and it's very important now, especially us at a library, right?
Yeah.
Where like people deciding like this is okay and this isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We got to mention Blame Canada, the Oscar nominated.
So good.
Robin Williams performed that at
Yep.
the Oscars. I remember we watched that.
Yeah. And then we would I took my kids to Canada for our vacation this summer. We went to Quebec and Ottawa. And we were, Blame Canada was...
Blame Canada. So I think the movie's great. It still holds up because South Park's got like a timeless thing because it's so over the top to begin
And
with.
its fundamental purpose and
Yeah.
story still holds up.
They intentionally try to make you cringe. They
Yeah.
intentionally try to
Intentionally.
make you go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that."
Yeah.
So I mean, it does hold up hugely. South Park is still going on, so
Yeah.
obviously it holds up.
Yeah.
I would put this in the top 5 for me. I would
Yeah.
probably
This is
put
high
at,
up there.
like
Yeah.
4 or 3 for me. I really
probably
like it.
4
It
or
has a
5.
message that's still relevant.
Yeah.
course, we three of us work in a library, so of course we're going to say it's relevant.
Well, and I mean, censorship's
it.
huge. Like, you can't...
Yeah.
And it's just, they explicitly state, they're like, who's decided, like, violence is okay, but, like, the language isn't. And that's totally true. Yeah. And it has to do with the MPA. Like, this movie almost got an NC-17 rating, right? Because it had too many F words, okay? Because it's completely arbitrary. I think it had over 400. And then the threshold is like once you go over 400, it's NC-17 automatically, no matter what.
Well,
so they
like
cut
Deadpool,
them down.
Like the new Deadpool movie is like almost there.
Yeah, they cut it down to like $3.99, and it's just like this is so dumb. Like like you can, if your movie is PG-13, you can have one F word, but if you have more than one, if you have two F words, it automatically is R. This is literally how they rate movies, and it's like. It's so stupid, but like you could murder people in movies, and that could be in PG movies.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, what are we talking about? Like, what's important?
Yeah. 100.
Do you think it would be as controversial now than it was in '99? Given what children are, I mean,
no. The thing is,
it'd be now,
this specific movie, no, but them making a South Park movie.
They're still making them.
Right, they're still making South Park, but if they were to like make a movie that was like do this, but now they would do it differently. Yeah. They would because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they knew what they were doing then. What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, they know how to do that really well.
Yeah.
So, I highly recommend it.
No,
I
it's
laughed so hard. I was just could not believe that somewhere in like my brain these songs just like
my
and
God.
I knew
the Kyle's Mom song.
Kyle's Mom song.
I know all that.
Oh, Sheila.
Okay.
All right.
Say
well,
okay.
We're at an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, we
so
still
we'll
got. I know.
move
I'm like,
Okay, so
so much for the 10-minute rule, Marty.
Yeah, I know.
oh, you got to you didn't tell me
were-
about
no,
it.
I was like
she
gonna
was
do
supposed
it.
to time us.
Time us so we didn't go over. And-
Okay, well, we got
got
3
three.
left.
Okay.
We'll cruise through them.
Okay.
Because I mean, they weren't as good as.
Well,
No, they were good, but like
Not funny.
they're not as
They're
funny.
not
as-
Well,
funny.
no, they're not funny.
They're not as like.
They're
entertaining
not
and-
funny.
No,
No.
they're not.
So let's talk about Fight Club.
Oh.
This movie.
The
a
soap.
great
The
film.
soap. No, it's the soap part and just.
Oh, the
amount
soap,
of-
the human soap.
Oh, yeah.
And the amount of blood and gore.
Yeah.
This movie, directed by David Fincher, still holds up. David Fincher is like one of the best, and he's never won an Oscar, which is a crime. This movie, I watch it and I just think like it's so 90s, late
Very
90s,
Yeah.
turn of the millennium, just the way they talk, the whole aesthetic, everything they wear,
Very
Brad
Y2K.
Pitt's hair,
Very, very
frosted tips,
Oh,
Yeah,
God,
the
the
tips.
tips.
just the sunglasses. It's so good, but like, and this is based on a book.
And Helen Bottom Carter.
Oh, she is so
Marla.
good. Yeah.
I love Marla.
Yeah, just quickly. So Ed Norton's in it. He's the narrator. He basically
An unnamed narrator.
Yeah, he's unnamed narrator, and he like can't feel. He starts going to support groups. Not that he has anything wrong with them, but he goes to like the cancer group and
In order to
whatever.
act-
Because they make him
Access
feel better.
They make him feel something.
Yeah, he can access
He feels
his
nothing.
feelings.
He
Yeah.
feels nothing.
He's so jaded and whatever, and he starts seeing Helena Bonham Carter, Marla's character. She's going because he's like a scammer going to these, and she is too. And they see each other at there, so then they have to split them up. Then he meets Tyler Durden on a flight.
Played by
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, and he's very, very Y2K.
Yeah.
This is
Like the outfits, like the attitude, just everything about it.
and they, Tyler and Ed Norton, they start like cooking up plans. They create Fight Club because there's other people that feel that way. It's underground fights.
But they start this because Edward Norton's character's apartment blows up.
And he
And
Yes.
he starts moving. He needs somewhere to go,
So
and he
it's like-
he has to move in with
he
Tyler.
moves in with Tyler, who like owns this like rundown
Yeah.
Piece of crap.
house.
Thank
yes,
you.
I was trying to. Like,
Less work for Marty.
and so it's just a wild ride.
Yeah, you have no idea really
Where
it's
this movie's
going.
going, and
Yeah.
then you get towards the end, and you're just like, what the
Should we?
hell? I don't spoil the ending of this
No,
one.
but
Oh,
just
I was going to spoil.
No,
the
let's
ending.
No,
not.
like this one.
Because if
This
you
one
haven't
holds
seen it-
up.
Yeah,
This
it
one I
does- it
feel holds
definitely
up.
holds
So like
up.
I don't want to ruin the ending of
Yeah.
this one.
Although
for-
I will say that if what Edward Norton has wrong with him, it was me, I'd want Brad Pitt to be.
Yeah.
That's who I would want. I'd pick Brad Pitt or George Clooney, one or the
Clooney.
other. Come on.
Clooney. They're all getting back together, side note, for another Oceans movie.
Oh,
Oh, they
brother.
are?
Yes, they're
Okay.
that's the road on the street.
Ocean's 14. So, anyways, like, it's a great movie. I would highly recommend it. It is very of the time,
Yes.
but that's not necessarily a bad
So
thing.
So this was hugely quoted too.
I was
going to
say that the one thing I kind of like got sick of this movie and hearing about it.
Oh yeah, it was so popular with like a very
Broy,
Broy.
but like
Bro.
before bro was a thing, but like teenage,
First thing about
being
Teenage boy,
being a
yeah.
teenage boy, like at the time, like everyone was just like, "What's first rule of Fight Club? What's first rule of Fight
Yeah.
Club?"
Yep.
Well, you don't talk about Fight Club.
I got so sick of that.
You know,
and that was like
so I got really annoyed, and I started to be like, "Oh, you know, this is like a mid-Fincher," which it's not, but like
yeah.
so good though.
people, you know, and people started like idolizing Brad Pitt's character, and it's like that's not the point. You're missing
That
the
is
point.
totally not the
Yeah,
point
yeah.
of this movie.
You know, that's like idolizing Travis Bickle. You know what I mean?
Or Hannibal Lecter. I don't
Yeah.
know who would do that, but
Oh,
you know.
I know nobody in this day and age would ever say that.
No one would talk about Hannibal Lecter like he was a real person.
And that he admired him for some reason, but you know,
So,
I hope you have
anyways,
to edit that out.
I'm not going to edit that out.
so I would highly recommend it. I think any of Fincher's movies, he's the type of director where his movies always hold
Always
up, and they
hold
often get better with time.
I also forgot how flippin' long this movie
Yeah.
It's long. It's like
Oh.
2.5 hours long.
The
almost
first time
3
I saw
hours.
it, I
Yeah.
like halfway through it, I was just like, "What is this?"
Yeah, and I watched all these movies laid up on the couch after
yeah.
surgery, so I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, I gotta pee.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta pause this thing? How much longer do I got? Oh boy.
And then you pause and you go, wait a minute, I've only been watching it for 45
Yeah,
minutes?
They haven't done anything. Nothing's happened.
It's a great film.
It is.
I would put it...
I would say top 5.
I've top 5, 4,
Easy in this
5, something
category?
like that.
Muggles,
Eh,
do you concur?
I don't know. I think what I associate most with this movie is the broy, like,
Fight
'cause,
Club-y.
yeah, it was in everyone's dorm room.
Oh, yeah.
like, it was just pervasive.
The pink
to-
soap poster.
Pink soap poster was
Yeah.
just an
Pink
like,
soap.
That and Axe body spray are two inextricably.
Yeah.
The movie
good
smells
things.
like even though
The movies. Yeah.
You could walk into a guy's dorm room and
Yep.
see that poster and be like, "Yep, nope, bye."
There's that Axe body spray and probably that poster with the two women that were in the white with the shirts that were always in every guy's dorm room in Michigan State in the early 2000s.
Yep.
So you have negative connotations
I
with
do.
this movie.
Like from a film perspective.
if you're just
it's-
judging the
it's
actual
great.
work,
Yeah.
Okay.
But I cannot put it in my top.
okay,
Anywhere
fair
near it.
enough.
She's
All
got
right.
it's the whole.
I
college thing.
have
get it.
baggage. I have baggage.
I get it. It's fair.
So another movie that was huge, was a phenomenon. This, I feel like 99 had a bunch of movies
It
that
had
were like
almost
phenomenal.
100 movies.
That are really
we were
good,
like-
that are like at least good, but like this is like Matrix was so huge, and Fight Club was huge, and Phantom Menace, Star Wars was back, that was a big thing, and like
Terrible movie.
of course, but they get worse than there. From
To be my husband, the only Star Wars movie he saw until 2020
I remember he hadn't seen
was
them.
The Phantom Menace.
What?
Yeah.
Which is a crime. He would have been like, Star Wars is garbage.
He did. He's like, this is the. I'm like, no. And then my Maddie wanted. Well, my Maddie wanted to watch it, and so I'm like, no, we're gonna watch this, and we're gonna watch. And we've watched all of them. He's like, oh, it's good. I'm like,
Of course.
yes.
There you
It's
go.
got a plot.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So, but another movie that was a huge thing that year was The Sixth Sense.
Oh.
Yes.
And it has the thing, like, I see dead people. I think, like, most... Haley Joel Osment.
Like perfect casting
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
He's so great. I love
he was
Toni
like the
Collette.
quintessential small, short, cute kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And like a lot of things.
Well, there was Jonathan Lipnicki before.
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
He
much
took the
does
mantle
you know
from
how much
Jonathan
a human
Lipnicki.
head weighs?
Yeah.
But now you can't say what Haley Joel Osment is doing now on Jimmy Kimmel. But
Oh,
like,
it's so good.
It's so good. Have you
He's
seen it,
really-
Marty?
No.
Oh,
It's
you
good.
should look it up.
Oh, God, after.
It's so good. Yeah.
So he is... So basically, Bruce Willis, main character, he's Dr. Malcolm Crowe. He's the child psychologist. At the start of the movie, he gets shot by one of his former patients that he wasn't able to
It was
help.
their anniversary.
It's his wife, his anniversary with his wife, and Then it flashes forward a few months later, and he's now meeting a new client, Cole, who's played by Haley Joel Osment. He's trying to help him. Cole's like, I see dead people. And turns out Bruce Willis is dead. That's pretty much...
You just gave away, like, the...
That one, everyone knows that one.
I was trying...
Yes, everyone does. This is 25 years ago. If you don't know Bruce Willis is dead, I can't help you.
I tried to get Madison to watch this one. So I'm like, I remember it not being so scary.
Yeah.
But I'm like, let's watch this one. Because Ellen and Ada were over. I'm like, okay, I think Izzy can handle this. We watched the trailer, and they're like, that's so stupid. I'm
They
like,
don't know it's good.
This is M. Night Shyamalan's only good film.
No. Signs is good. And
Signs is terrible.
She hates Signs. I like
absolutely
Signs.
hate Signs.
I bet you were scared.
I don't like cornfields.
She hates corn. She hates Iowa.
And she's like, why would aliens
That's
invade?
why she hated Field of Dreams.
Yes.
She just hates Iowa and corn and Signs and Field of Dreams.
Why would aliens invade a planet that is 75% water when water kills them?
Yeah.
And The Village was terrible, too.
Well, the Village,
is
I'll
bad.
give you, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And there's that one with Paul Giamatti that's terrible, too.
Yeah.
The girl in the lake or the
Yeah.
woman in the
Oh,
pool
yeah,
or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like
Cool one, yeah.
that.
It's a woman in a body of water.
In a body of
It's just so
water.
bad. Just,
It's the lady in
The
the
Last
water.
Airbender,
That's right.
terrible.
The worst one was the one with Wahlberg where the trees are killing people slowly.
Oh, The Mist?
So bad.
No, it's called The Happening.
Oh, and that's...
terrible.
No, which one?
The Mist is not
The Mist was-
Shyamalan.
I think...
King. But that's the one where they're in the grocery store and they finally leave
Yes.
and then they all die.
Well,
Except the one guy, he kills everyone and then it waits for the monster to get him.
And he doesn't die.
It's me and
Well,
Pa
why-
saw that in the theater.
Why does M. Night Shyamalan always have to have a twist that tries to make you
That's his
He should
style.
have stopped with Sixth Sense
I agree.
and moved on to something else.
But
And
anyways,
he's still trying to do it, though.
yeah, he is.
and he's doing it terribly.
And they pay him money, so...
Well, yeah, they give him
There,
money.
he
so.
does have a fan base, and I respect him, but it's just like most of his films are for me. But this one, to me, is still a
It's
great movie.
Yes.
movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, even if you know the twist and you've seen it, it
so
still
good.
holds up.
What's her... Misha Barton plays the little
Misha
girl.
Barton's in it, yeah.
She plays the little girl.
I forgot she
I
was
will
in
tell
it.
you
At the
the story.
funeral.
My story. So I'm sitting next to one of my best friends. We were watching in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's the first time I'd seen it. I was sitting next to him and I was watching it. About halfway through the movie, I went, and I leaned over and I said, Bruce Willis has been dead since the beginning of this movie. And I just leaned back and I started eating popcorn again. And my friend just sat there for a second and I could see his mouth drop open. He went, and he goes, whack! Thanks for ruining the movie on me.
See,
Well,
I
I
didn't.
remember watching it as a kid, and I'm like, I don't think he's alive.
I didn't know. I didn't get the
I didn't
twist.
know.
I think he did it really cleverly.
Yeah.
As opposed to his other films.
Yeah.
Where he
Well, because
doesn't
he
do it
literally is like,
cleverly.
he's shot, and you don't see that he died.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, 1 year later, he's better.
And the way he was shot looks like it was would be
He could have
survivable.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they were. This was the most clever of his movies.
Yep.
But, like, the thing that tipped me off, though, was the mom, Toni Collette.
I love
yeah.
She
Collette.
never talked to Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
No.
And after he said his secret, and that he never talked to another single person in that movie, and I'm like,
well, you watch it
you're-
again, and you're like, well, he's talking to his wife, and his wife's not talking. Like,
Yeah.
but she's not. No one was talking back, and that was.
but
like,
they
the
made
dead
it.
giveaway.
They did it very cleverly,
Yeah.
where it looks like she's just ignoring
Yeah.
him that time, and you think like they're talking all the other times.
Mm-hmm.
We just see like a scene where she's tired, or like when they're in the restaurant, and it's like happy anniversary, but and then like so.
I think it holds up. It's
does.
in my top 5.
It's really. It was a good one.
I think that movie, the thing that makes it is Toni Collette and Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah,
They're
those
so
two.
good
They were
in
both
that movie.
nominated
Yeah.
for Oscars.
Yeah, so good.
So, Sixth Sense, Muggles, any thoughts?
I don't think beyond what's already been said. I mean, I remember seeing it, and I remember not.
I'm pretty sure we saw it together at
yeah,
the same
I'm sure.
time. I think
mean,
we rented
why
it.
wouldn't we? Have seen
Well,
it
I remember our parents saw it in the theater, and I remember them saying like it's really good and there's a twist. And I think we rented it from Blockbuster when it came out on video,
Blockbuster.
and we didn't know the twist.
We didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got.
And then I went to see The Village, which was his follow up. And
I was working
I
at the
was
theater when The
so
Village came out, and I was
disappointed.
like, "This is terrible movie."
It's got Defenders though. Village does,
Really?
which is crazy because it's bad.
who could defend it? I
There's
mean,
yeah.
just, they're-
Anyways, we got one final one.
okay, one final movie.
Magnolia, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Boy, yeah.
So this was his follow-up to Boogie Nights. It has almost the exact same cast, except it doesn't have Mark Wahlberg. It added Tom Cruise. And it's just basically one of these ensemble movies where, like, different people who have, like, different struggles in their lives, and they're all connected, you know?
I hated Tom Cruise's character.
Yep,
The entire,
you're supposed to.
And I know you're supposed to.
One of his best performances.
He did a great job, but the moment he walked on screen, I'm like, I hate you. Your character is so disgusting.
Does he even get redeemed at
No,
the end?
no redemption because he was such a
Mandy doesn't redeem people ever.
No, Marty.
She's still mad at Nate
Wow,
from Ted
it's
Lasso.
Yes, I am still the
I still haven't
anti-Nate.
seen that.
Oh, you need to watch it. So good.
So, I mean, I don't think we need to go into the plot of this because it's very convoluted.
It's
It's just a movie where you just
weird.
have to watch.
And you
But-
just gotta pay attention.
Until you get to the frogs at the end.
There's a plague of frogs. But it's just really good.
No, it is not a plague of frogs. It is a
But that's
flippin'
what
tornado.
that's
and
a
hurricane.
biblical plague of frogs.
Yeah,
That's what
but
it
like,
is.
like you're just sitting there,
I
and all of a
remember-
sudden, it's just one. Comes
It's
and
very
hits the car.
shocking. You're not expecting
No.
the frogs.
I remember Amanda when she was watching it that night.
Yeah,
No,
you-
it's during the day.
Well, okay. Well, Ben and I both got the same thing. It was like, what the...
frogs?
Like, and it was like so. They were so gross. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
they like
they really
literally, like,
splatted.
splatted and exploded, and
They're
like,
doing damage.
they're
I
like,
love-
oh my, it
Were
was
they, like,
no.
They're raining from
No,
the
like,
sky.
huge
because
bullfrogs.
Boogie
And just,
Nights
like,
was so well received and everything that the company just said, do whatever you want,
Do
we'll
whatever
give
you
you
want.
the
Yeah,
money.
He was like frogs.
He was like,
Frogs.
People
Yeah,
really
it's
love this
like-
movie, and I think it's
I
really
love this
good.
movie.
What's his name? The cop.
Yeah, John C. Reilly.
C.
John
Reilly.
C. Reilly, so good in this movie.
I love him and Melora Walter. That's my favorite kind of vignette of the movie. Shout out to Jason Robards. It was his very last
love him in
performance.
this,
He was dying of cancer. He's Tom Cruise's dad. Philip Seymour Hoffman is a nurse, like a hospice nurse, and he's trying the whole movie to get a hold of Tom Cruise's character. Like, your dad's about to die. Your dad's about to die.
Yeah, and he's lied about his entire life up until this point.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's
Tom Cruise he's a weird motivational speaker, sex
men
guru,
only.
pickup. He's very Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Okay.
so no.
But also, he's got this culty vibe. So, like,
Yeah, it's just so
it's actually
gross. It's
more
so gross.
resonated now. It's got weird incel energy.
Yeah.
It does. It's so like you watch him and you're just like,
Yeah.
I want to barf. Like I legit want to
His
puke.
name
Watch.
is Frank T.J. Mackey.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It sounds bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so. It's,
But he's made up everything but his backstory.
yeah, it's so bad.
And, and his dad, yeah. So,
I love this movie.
It's good. It's just
I really
so-
do. I wouldn't put it at number one,
no.
but it would... my top five is really crowded because I
What
love-
would
I
be
love
so now
this
we've
movie.
talked about, just to like wrap up, what is number one? Do we have a consensus?
Office Space.
Is it Office Space?
Yeah,
And then I think we all have different 2 through 7.
2 through 7,
Except
yeah.
for American Pie 7.
Well,
American
to
Pie's
me-
gonna be at the bottom for all
To
of them
me,
for me.
I don't know, like, if Office Space is my number one.
What's your number one?
Well, I put South Park movie up there.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of, like, the message and, like people are like, the message. But, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, it's so it's so blatant, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those are all obviously very close. They're at the top.
Yeah.
And as far as, like, the dramatic movie, I mean, I would put probably my top 3 would just from this rewatch would be Office Space or South Park 1 or 2. And then Cruel Intentions, maybe. I really was like, man, they don't make movies like this no more.
I think Cruel Intentions is my number 2.
Yeah. Well, no, Cruel Intentions is my number 1. We're not
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Let's not lie.
That's for
No.
other reasons, though. I would put Office Space at number 1. I would probably put South Park at number 2 because I think it's very timely and it doesn't age.
Yeah.
And I would probably put, it might be The Sixth Sense for me. I love that
Yeah.
movie. I really love that movie. I think
It's really
so
well made,
done.
and it was when the AFI came out with its top 100 American movies of all time list in 2007. It was on it.
Yeah.
So, like, it really holds up. It's just very well made, and it's kind of surprising to see like M. Night Shyamalan's stuff he did after when this was like your first one, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's it. That's the thing. The thing that redeems it for me is that it was M. Night Shyamalan. It was his best movie, and he's done crap ever since.
But I think like because he's done a lot of movies that are kind of crappy, that like people try to get revisionist. Well, Sixth Sense wasn't actually that good either. It just had the twist, and that's not true.
No, like
the
whole
movie is
itself.
a quality movie.
Yeah, it was
and the
set up very
performances
well.
are fantastic. So you
I don't
can't
think
say
he
that.
ever had performances this good in any other movie.
No.
I think that might be part of it too.
I mean, I think Unbreakable is not a bad movie with
no,
Bruce
Unbreakable
Willis.
is not bad.
Yeah. I mean, that one sort of holds up as well.
It does. It's not like he did this and never did anything else
Right.
good. Because I think Unbreakable is pretty decent. Signs, I think, is decent as well.
I do like that movie.
Otherwise, the others are pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then apparently, his version of the Avatar movie is like sacrilegious. If you
Everyone
like
hates
Avatar.
All right.
So-
Well, did we get what your top three were?
Office Space, Cruel Intentions, South Park.
Office Space, and yours is
Cruel Intention, Office Space.
Sixth Sense,
Fight Club,
Fight Club,
Magnolia,
Frogs.
Probably,
frogs. Just say frogs.
Frogs.
I don't know. I mean, American Pie, clearly. I'd probably go with South Park.
South Park. Okay.
Because, again, it holds up.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, most of the movies that we talked about actually do hold up.
See, there are other ones that like
There was so many from 1999.
It was
We had a
hard
really
to
hard
narrow it
time.
down, but like stuff like She's All That was in this year.
And I didn't like She's All That.
Yeah.
Well, it's just so like she's a nerd, like Rachel Lee
Take
Cook.
the glasses off, and she's hot.
It's
Come
like
on.
it's Rachel Lee Cook. She's hot with the glasses too.
Yeah,
Hotter,
it
in fact.
doesn't matter. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So stuff like that. But the year was so packed with movies. You think of something like October Sky, which is like the 50th
A
best
really good
movie of '99, and that movie's quality.
Yeah.
Like,
There was
really
just so
good.
many movies in '99, and
Yeah.
it wasn't the Iron Giant that year.
Yes.
and
The
Iron
like
Giant
we
was
just
that
had
year,
so
too.
many good ones, and we had
Yeah.
to like.
there's never been a year that deep since.
No, when again, Y2K was coming, so I think everybody threw out what they had because if the world was
They
really
thought
ending,
everything was coming.
Well,
to
it's
an
just
end.
the culmination because the '90s were a really weird time in history. It was kind of because it was after the Cold War, but before 9/11. So you had this 10-11 year period where we were kids. Where like
we were kids. Like we had no internet.
Things
we
weren't.
Had no, like,
things were pretty good. The economy was good. You weren't worried about getting nuked anymore, and like and like all that built up into like '99 because you had so many different genres, so many different types of movies, so many different voices making these things, and then that all ended in 9/11. Like that changed everything.
Yeah, it did.
Just the way we act and everything. So like you have that whole 10-11 year period from like the Berlin Wall coming down to 9/11, which was like this period, and this was the culmination of that.
Yeah.
and things have never been the same.
Nope.
No, absolutely not.
Like it's just wild.
Because we went from 1999 and then George W. Bush takes over. And
Well, you had the
everything
weird
was-
election, and then pretty much in this
everything
first
went
year,
downhill from there
And
until
then-
we hit about 2008.
But then there was always
we had like the recession in 2008.
yeah, but
It's been
we had-
downhill since '99.
yes.
That's the whole point of this podcast.
All right. Well, we probably have
This
to
is like
draw
one of
this
our
to an
longest
end.
podcasts.
And we are at an hour and 40 minutes, so
We've gone 2+.
We're gonna do the books quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. That is the end of the millennial edition of Word. But with Ben from Tech Services, Amanda from the Teen Zone, and Muggles, the biggest fan of library nerds with words. Okay. So there you have it. That's our ratings, but we can't let anybody out of the DeLorean just yet. We need, because we time traveled. That was a stupid reference. We need to do one more thing.
My kids like that movie.
We have to talk about books that have been keeping us up at night and distracting us during the day. It's a little thing on the podcast we call Off the Shelf. All right, guys. What have you been reading that's good?
I'll go first.
All right.
I read one called Horror Movie
Horror movie?
by
Okay.
Paul Tremblay.
Okay.
I picked it up because it was a VHS tape on the front of
Okay.
the book because, little nostalgia there.
Yeah.
It's a story about this group of people. It's told in two different timelines, present day and when they made the movie. So they made this movie called Horror Movie. And so you don't really know what's happening, but he is the only survivor of this cast.
Okay.
And the movie was never actually released. So there's a studio in present day who wants to bring it back.
Okay.
So you don't really know what happens in the movie until you're like reading the book and you get to find out what happens
Right.
and how he's like the lone survivor and what the movie's about. And it's messed up. It's great. I had to text Brandy because she read this one too, and we were talking about, I'm like, did I miss how this one character died? She's like, where are you at? She's like, nope, you're good. I'm like, okay, great, because I'm like, I cannot for the life of me, like, I knew how everybody else died, but I can't figure out this one, and like, I was so confused, but it's really interesting, and it was good.
All right.
I read it in like a day.
Horror movie by Paul Tremblay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I've got a topical one.
Okay.
I like to do topical ones.
All right.
I read it a couple years ago and it was new, but it's called The 90s and it's by Chuck Klosterman, who writes a lot of like pop culture books. It's about the whole decade. If I remember correctly, the book kind of starts with Nirvana's Nevermind and it ends with 9/11. It was just kind of what I was just talking about. Goes through like how people were living, like all like the major things that happened in the 90s. You know, I'm talking like OJ trial, Princess Diana, all the stuff. So if you liked this podcast or the movies in this podcast, you'll probably like that book.
All right. The 90s by Chuck Klosterman. Muggles.
Oh goodness, admittedly, I haven't been reading as much as I normally do because my life has been studying for the U.S. Patent Bar exam. But one of the last books I read prior to going into deep study mode was a book called More Than a Glitch by Meredith Broussard, and it is about the role of essentially how AI algorithms have become biased into different communities and the impact that that's going to have.
That sounds
in the future.
terrifying.
Well, it's things like if you have darker skin color, you can't generally use like motion detector like sinks and that sort of stuff too.
Oh, it doesn't.
Because the algorithms were not trained on skin colors.
Wow.
Of their, it's
Interesting.
just things that you don't
The
think
AI
about.
is racist.
Yeah, because AIs
Well,
are
'cause
created by humans who are inherently biased, and so without any sort of external check of our internal biases, these algorithms that we're making that are going to apparently solve all of our problems have the exact same challenges and problems that human beings do. So, yeah, I'm a very big like AI tech nerdy person, so it was really fascinating.
More Than a Glitch by Marilyn Broussard.
Meredith. Broussard.
Meredith. Okay, Meredith Broussard. Okay, here's mine, and it's coming off of the Nobel Prize in Literature from yesterday.
Oh, did you read one already?
I just got into probably the first 40 or 50 pages of it, but it's pretty good. It's The Vegetarian, and it's by the Nobel Prize winner for literature this year. It's Han Kang, Hankang, and it's about a woman who decides to become a vegetarian. It's set in South Korea, and everything that happens because of that. And it sounds like really boring, but it's not, because really weird, messed up stuff happens because she becomes vegetarian. People try to force her. Why are you doing this? And it's just really weird so far. So I will say tentatively it's a really good book because I have not finished it yet, but The Vegetarian by Han Kang. So there you go. All right. There you have it. Some recommendations from Amanda, Ben, Muggles, and myself of books that you should pick up off the shelf. And we have come to the end of this Millennial Roundtable edition of Library Nerds with Words. Finally. I want to thank Amanda Pierce from the Teen Zone and Ben Sargent from Tech Services for joining me. And Muggles, of course, the #1 fan of
Biggest
the podcast.
Yeah, Muggles, do you have any parting words for the audience?
This was really fun.
Has it been an honor?
It has. Thank you.
An honor.
Twin A. It has been an immense honor. Longtime fan, first time participant.
Long time, first time.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, you are welcome back anytime you want to. Come back and talk movies with us.
Maybe we'll do
or
one
anything.
off-site. So we can go longer.
There you
Come
go.
down to Chicago.
Amanda just wants to drink.
Well, never
I'm
fear.
okay with that.
Never
Yeah,
fear, Library
yeah.
Nerds, because Ben and Amanda will be back very shortly.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a 1 week turnaround on this one, because we're going to be talking about Halloween movies.
And then we got to pick our Christmas ones.
And then we have to do the Christmas ones, but it's Halloween movies next time. And also, there's going to be a special episode with Andrea Ingmeier, the director of Peter White Public Library. And I will call it the election edition of Word on the Nerd. But until that time, everyone, stay nerdy. Thank you for listening to Library Nerds with Words, Peter White Public Library's weekly podcast, giving you the word on what's cool at the library. The theme for the podcast is Happy Clappy by John Bartman, used courtesy of Pixabay. This episode was written and produced by Martin Acketts and sponsored by Peter White Public Library. Until next week, pick up a good book, listen to some good music, watch a good movie, attend a great event, and remember, library nerds are the coolest people around.